All right, everyone. And so if you can't tell by my voice, I am extremely excited about the video we are about to do. As you know, with this channel, we've been doing long, hour-long, just us playing Gears of War Reloaded. And as we talked about on the channel, really this is all a build up to E-Day, right? When E-Day in the run-up to it, we're going to be doing a lot more content covering it, and I've been waiting for news. Well, I just happened to type in Gears of War E-Day into Google, and I got an article from Games Radar where the director at the coalition, the creative director, Matt Searcy, spoke to them. Now, there's a lot that he said here, but I want to focus on the quote that is in the first two paragraphs because this is the second time we've heard this in Gears of War Reloaded marketing. Here it is. We can't think of a bigger way to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Gears, says Matt Searcy, creative director at the Coalition, speaking exclusively with Games Radar Plus. This is our most ambitious game yet, entirely built from scratch in the Unreal Engine 5. Even though this is a return to our roots with Marcus and Dom facing Locust for the first time, we wanted to build a game that feels like Gears but plays like new. E-Day is a celebration of both the past and what's to come in the future. So when I read this, remember, we did a video a few months ago where they talked about that same thing, ambitious, most ambitious game yet. And that is the thing that's really striking to me is that they are clearly making this, right? This E-Day, right, which is supposed to be the prequel, this is going to be something that they are betting, at least through their promotional material, that this is something that could revitalize the franchise. They're constantly kind of informing us that they're going in a new direction, but they're not losing that Gears of War formula. And that makes me really excited because I think that's what's needed. You know, even playing Gears of War Reloaded, it's not that it's not Gears of War. It's not that it's not fun. There's just not that depth of like, this is something that I'm going to have to play every day, like we had with Gears of War 2. And it's just because, at this point, there's not enough going for it, right? There's not enough to necessarily do in it. And it doesn't mean it's not fun, but it doesn't have that excitement level, right? Even on this channel, we talked about before Gears of War Reloaded came out, I was saying on this channel, we may be doing videos every other day. That was my goal. But the problem was number one, there was basically no E-Day news, right? There was zero. And number two, the games we were playing were basically just Gears of War, right? And so I don't mind producing once a week a long form piece of content like that. But at some point, you guys may end up getting bored if it's just, every other day me playing Gears. I'm not against doing it. Maybe we'll do that with E-Day, but for Reloaded, I just didn't think that was the best way to go about it. We tried starting a new thing with, Gears of War Reloaded on the computer, and we are still doing that. And I'm going to still be playing Gears of War Reloaded because I love it. Don't get me wrong, but it just obviously it did what it needed to do, but it's all in anticipation for this game right here. And so I'm really happy that we're hearing from a little bit of news here from the creative director at the coalition, Matt Searcy, because he's at least giving us some good news here, right? I do think that's what's needed with Gears of War, meaning you don't want to lose what made Gears of War 2 so great. You don't want to lose what made this game what it is, but you also want to bring it to 2026 and add on like all great series do. And I think one series, to give an example of a series I think did this was another series from when I was younger that I absolutely loved, is the Hitman series. If you've played Hitman World of Assassination, they have kept the Hitman feel, right? You feel like you're playing a Hitman game when you play Hitman World of Assassination, but the way they structure everything now is a 2026 structure, right? Where you have community contracts that actually work really well and is put out well. You have these elusive contracts where all of these different things. So no longer is it, well, here's a Hitman game where you have the set missions and you have to play those missions. And maybe we do some stuff with the community, but it's very small. Like to me, that keeps me going on there more than I would have. If it was just, the story modes, I would probably go back once every 3 months, play some of them, and then be done. But because we constantly get these elusive contracts, because there's constantly these new updates that actually are fun and good, it keeps you coming back and back and back. And I think that's what Gears of War needs. Meaning we don't need some, BS battle pass that doesn't give us what we want. We don't need, something like that. What we need is how can you make it so that it's has the fun and the addictive qualities of Gears of War 2 and Gears of War 3 and even the original Gears of War when it first came out, but also is, something that is true to Gears of War. And like I said, Call of Duty is the opposite example of this, right? Where they've tried to take Call of Duty to 2026 or take it to the modern day, and they're failing, right? Because they're adding in these battle passes, but it just isn't what people want, right? People aren't happy because it feels like, sure, you've attempted to adjust to a new time period, right? You've attempted to adjust to the modern gaming landscape, but you've lost Call of Duty, right? And so that kind of walking that tightrope with Gears of War is going to be crucial. But it's really, really something that makes me pretty pumped that I continue to hear most ambitious game yet, most ambitious game yet, most ambitious game yet. If you're hearing that, and that's what now look, don't get me wrong, this is setting up for if it's not that and it doesn't live up to that, well, now it's going to look silly and people are going to be pissed. But if you deliver on the most ambitious game yet, forget it. This could be an all-time great Gears of War, or at the very least, give us the type of experience that we had with Gears of War 1, setting up for what I believe is the best Gears of War game, which was Gears of War 2, right? So if I played this game and I go, huh, there's a few things I don't love about it, but this is awesome. And it kind of gets people talking about the Gears series again. And then the next one they publish is the one that's like, this is it. This is Gears of War 2, in terms of like it's the Gears, and we're also gonna probably have the remaster of Gears 2 after that too, but that's what people feel about it. I think it's going to be awesome, right? So I just wanted to bring you this because we finally got some Gears of War news. And by the way, the headline of the article here is with Gears of War E-Day aiming to recapture the vibes of the original games, the Coalition believes its upcoming prequel has the potential to be one of the best stories in the Gears franchise. And I'm more of a multiplayer guy. It's not that I'm against the story modes. I've played the story modes, but I'm more of a multiplayer guy. But I think hearing them talk about delivering on that story mode is critical because as you see with Gears of War Reloaded, just the online multiplayer they have with that is good enough, right? I could find myself addicted to that, right? In terms of wanting to continually play it. They didn't go the Call of Duty route where you're playing Gears of War Reloaded and you're like, does this feel like Call of Duty? Or does this like what I mean is like when you're playing Call of Duty Black Ops 7, you're like, it's kind of fun, but is this like Call of Duty, right? Is this like Call of Duty 4? When you play Gears of War Reloaded, you're like, this is Gears, right? And so it still has that quality to it. But a new story mode that's awesome and hooks people in, that's how you get your average gamer potentially to come over and give this a shot. Think about smaller studios that, like the one that produced Expedition 33. That took the world by storm because of how good that single player is. And it's not that Gears of War is going to necessarily, be on that level in terms of like it has that in depth of a long story mode, right? In terms of how long it was, but it doesn't need that, right? If it could just deliver like when the Gears of War 1 back in the day or Gears of War 2 story mode, how good those were, that could help us get that average fan, oh, coming back to the series, or for the first time, PlayStation users playing the series, that could be a big boost, I think, for the series as a whole. So I'm really, really pumped about all of this. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.